A brewing controversy over Vogue magazine's cover. It's a very provocative cover, and there's a controversy. Vogue is under fire. Now here's Peter Alexander with more.
The April issue of Vogue was intended to make history, with LeBron James, the first African-American man to grace its cover. He is one of the biggest names in basketball, 6 feet 8 inches tall, known to fans as King James. Gisele Bündchen is the world's top model and girlfriend of NFL quarterback Tom Brady. But the cover is not without controversy. Critics claim it reinforces racial stereotypes. Online, some bloggers have even compared this shot to the image of King Kong, baring teeth and gripping a damsel in distress. One blogger writes, James is straight up perpetuating a stereotype, that of the brutal wild savage that helped enslave, lynch, and murder hundreds of thousands of our black men for centuries. Others note Vogue's editors had better pictures to choose from, like these featured inside the magazine. Not everyone sees a scandal. I find it exquisitely tasteful, writes David Wilson from Texas. Monica from Cleveland adds, can't a cover be just a cover? A Vogue spokesperson says the two look beautiful together. An ESPN columnist says James, generally viewed as one of sport's best dressed, deserves more blame and should have been more careful with his image. Quote, she looks like she's on her way to something fashionable and exciting. He looks like he's on his way to a pickup game for serial killers.
This cover is a celebration of LeBron James, of athletes around the world, and we captured this incredible moment of exuberance and energy.
For his part, James told his hometown paper he was pleased with the cover and just showing a little emotion. A magazine designed to break barriers, seen by some as art and by others as offensive. For today, Peter Alexander, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Donnie Deutsch is a top advertising executive and the host of The Big Idea on CNBC. And Nancy Giles is a humorist and a TV commentator. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Probably the most damning complaint heard comes from a magazine analyst named Shamir Husni, who says the photo was deliberately provocative, saying that it screams King Kong. So quoting him now, so when you have a cover that reminds people of King Kong and brings those stereotypes to the front, black man wanting white woman, it is not innocent, he says. What do you think, Donnie?
You know, it's interesting. I'm going to have to. First, I'd like to tee it up to Nancy as the African-American woman because...
Well, thank you for recognizing that, Donnie. How sweet.
No, I mean, it's just, I'm in a tough position here. What I can say is somebody who comes from the world of images.
Right.
And the world of photographers. If Jeremy Shockey, who was a white, raw football player in there with tattoos, he'd be like this. Tiki Barber, an African-American guy who has a different kind of persona, would have a different... That's LeBron. That's him on a basketball court. He's raw,
but it's
he's
a magazine's
emotional.
decision to pair these two together in this particular way.
I think there's an energy there that way. And I don't think anybody... I don't
think it works
anybody,
for the magazine? I
think it's an interesting image. I don't think any leader would step back and said, I'm going to do a King Kong imagery. Once again, this is the dumb white guy talking. So,
okay.
You know, I
okay,
just...
See?
So that's
good.
it.
I like that he acknowledges that. No, I'm not going to go ahead and call Donnie a dumb white guy, but it's layered. It's not black and white, no pun intended. But what I find interesting is that that's the photo that Vogue chose. And for a magazine that's been around, I think, for 115 years and has only had 4 African Americans on its cover in all that time, and LeBron James is the first black man to be on its cover, yeah, it means that every time you see an image that's a person of color, it's going to be examined in this way, where it might just be sort of a funny celebration of energy, like Donnie is saying, if it's a person of color and they haven't been on and hadn't had that many choices.
But most people looking at the magazine, don't know that not since 1914 there hasn't been, I mean, they're not thinking about that.
No,
okay,
but I'll tell you what
let's
happened.
talk about the
Okay.
impact. Let's talk about why. It's not just that, it's something else. What is it that it elicits in people who are African American and maybe people who are of other races, when they look at that we don't get, other people don't get, who are white men or
right.
Dumb white.
Right. Oh, you don't have to keep saying dumb.
No,
but
I'll
tell you honestly, Ann,
I guess
what
that's
happened.
my point. One, I went to tee it up to you first because I'm not seeing that.
Well, I know.
What's the awareness, Nancy?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what happened to me when I walked past a newsstand and saw it. And I sort of did a double take and then rolled my eyes like, here we go again. It's an instant thing, especially, I mean, his arms were positioned like that. He looks like He looks like he's kind of a big gorilla, big gorilla, big gorilla, big gorilla, big gorilla, big gorilla, big gorilla. He looks like he's kind of a big gorilla in his way, and that's part of how he plays the game. A lot of athletes of all races, when I see them getting active and getting athletic, they go straight to their primal energy. Sort of is there, but had it been her real boyfriend Tom Brady, it would have been a whole different thing.
Tom Brady is a different personality. It's
Yes,
different.
I know.
He's not white or black. He's a very low-key guy. I will show you 100 images from Sports Illustrated where that's LeBron.
Of
Man,
course,
that's who
but
he is.
this,
And that's what an
Johnny,
artist does. They
but there were
capture that.
other pictures that they could have chosen. So of course,
But to
then
me,
the
if I'm
question
selling
is,
magazines, I think that had the most energy in it. And I don't think it was a black-white issue.
one man's energy can be another's offensive.
What great art does. The fact that we're having this discussion, I'm going to say, I do not believe that people of Vogue had any intention of any racial charge. Having said that, though, the fact that we're having this discussion means that's great art because we're talking about it.
Intent and lack of awareness are two different things.
Yes. They are.
Intent and
There
lack
are.
of awareness are two different things. So what is the awareness that you want to say this morning that people who are in the public eye, who are putting these images out, should be thinking about?
Well, I have to go back to the point, even though a lot of people don't know that Vogue hasn't had like so much integration in their covers, because I think a numbers game is part of it. If you're a white person and you get all these different shots on the cover of Vogue to look like a gorilla, to look like a businessman, to look like a comedian, it's not going to resonate in the same way. It's not that every time a person of color is on the cover, they have to be a certain sort of straight-laced way. And then there's the Annie Leibovitz angle, which is when you know you're being photographed by her, and I had a photograph by her once, you do all these kind of like outrageous, edgy things. So
The last thing I would do is look at that and say, gorilla. I would, in a million years. I mean, that's LeBron James, a superstar
He's so much
basketball
more than
player.
that,
If I asked a million words, I wouldn't come to that.
One of the questions is, are white athletes portrayed in a more docile,
It depends. Jeremy Shockey, with his tattoos, if he was on the cover, there would be something
But LeBron
raw.
James is many things. He's not just that.
He's
And the
not
question
just
is,
that
what
also.
part of your personality you choose
But
to put out?
me, if I was choosing a cover, I would want the rawness of a he's a basketball player. That's why he's on there. That's why he's there.
All right. This is not going to end it.
I
And we
know.
have to
There's
stop.
a bigger
Johnny,
discussion.
Nancy Giles,
Tonight.
you guys
Thank
keep
you.